Yo, what is going on, fam? I hope everybody is well. Welcome to a trade recap. We absolutely demolished the markets today, but what's new? I'm going to go ahead and hop right into it. Let me go ahead and minimize my face cam today. Today is Monday, April 29th. We were inside pre-market review and live trading this morning, of course, per usual. And you guys can obviously see the trade setups right here. So main thing that we were eyeing today is going to be this 5, 10, 40 supply zone. Now, actually, one thing that I do want to go over is if we go over onto Discord here and we actually go over to the analysis slash zones in which I alert every single day, you can see that literally yesterday at 7:28 p.m. This was also during the YouTube live, so don't miss out on those lives. I alerted the 5, 10, 40 supply going on into this morning, right? So we were eyeing that zone, so keep in mind that's the 5, 10, 40 supply that I alerted yesterday. Now, going on to the charts, you can see this exact 5, 10, 40 level right here, 5, 10, 40 supply. This was the exact supply, exact area in which I utilized for both of my trades. You can see here, market pushed on into the supply zone very shortly after market open. That's when I really started to look for opportunities for entries. And then price started to hold that supply zone very well and started to show strong selling pressure from that area. It started to heavily respect and heavily start to reject this zone. It did look like we were going to break above for a little bit, but that's, like I said, it heavily respected this zone and didn't break above, which ultimately gave me the confirmation that those sellers were starting to step in because they weren't letting price go up any further, aka they didn't want price to break that supply area because that was the area they wanted to utilize. Then we started to obviously see strong sellers stepping in, especially by the size of these candles. You guys can tell how strong those sellers were. Keep in mind, this was very shortly after market open, so another confirmation for me was that market was ultimately having that market open move, which is pretty volatile, as you guys know. So I was ultimately just looking to trade with that momentum, trade with that selling pressure that was being inputted from this supply zone. You guys can see my entry was right about here on this initial push down. My risk was pretty much above these highs, so my stop loss was amazing for this trade. And then you can see we pretty much just absolutely ripped to the downside, right? And then pretty much at this point, of course, you guys know, as my position is moving, I'm always trimming, I'm always taking profits on my certain trades. At this point, this is where I had pretty much just my runners on this trade, on this position. And then I was honestly looking for a move back down, being a little bit greedy, but realistically, I was looking for price to hit this bullish order block, and which I'm sure will probably tap sometime today, but it is what it is. Like I said, I had my runners around here, and then price, I had this 5-minute fair value gap in which was charted out. I told the team in live trading, I said, fam, I'm expecting a retracement into this fair value gap to continue back down lower. Yes, we did get this move back to the downside, in which I was expecting us to break and continue down further, but we retraced right back up into that 5-minute fair value gap and then initially broke through. And then obviously once we broke through this fair value gap, I had told them, I said, if we do break through that fair value gap, that shows that buyers are starting to really step in. Obviously, that's not what we want for our trade. So if we do break above, I'm going to exit my position. We broke above, I exited my position. I still exited for about 20% profits. Down here was about 60 to 70% profits. But obviously, you guys can see I entered all the way up here. And then for my final runner exits, I exited about right here on this invalidation of the fair value gap. Then shortly after, I saw that we were approaching the same exact supply in which we literally just provided excessive selling from. I told the fam, I said, guys, if I'm going to look for another trade, if I'm going to look for another setup, it's going to be off this 5, 10, 40 supply. You can see we approached the supply, started to show strong amounts of selling. I actually didn't take my trade until right here because we swept those highs. We swept this supply zone while still being able to maintain and hold that supply zone. And you guys know that's one of my favorite confirmations. So we held this supply zone. We started to heavily reject it. And you can see sellers initially starting to step in significantly, right? Especially from the size of these candles as well. Now you can see I took my entry about right here on this initial push down. My stop was literally above these highs, above that supply zone per usual, and I literally just let that baby rip. I took my main profits down here inside of this 5 minute fair value gap that was previous right here, and you can see price continue to move back to the downside. Obviously, I still had a good piece of my position, so as price is continuing to move to the downside, I continue to obviously take profits. But the initial point and where I took majority of my position off was down here at this strong buyers 509 level, which was initially my main exit for my trade. You can see right here I had it charted out, and that was also the area in which we reversed previously. So I was really just using this area as my main exit target, and then from there I was really just holding runners, just a tiny piece of my position, just how like I typically do, just until the end of the day. Like you guys know, I typically do that. Because at that point, when I'm already in a winning trade and when I just have a tiny piece of my position left, those one or two contracts realistically don't affect me. As long as I took profits and trimmed at the right places on the charts and at the right points in my trade, then that's what matters most to me. And same thing for you guys. So that's going to be that. Very nice, simple trade recap. Both beautiful moves. This was over 100%. This was about a 70-80% move. Looks like similar moves, obviously, but I took different option contracts. So obviously, you guys know different option contracts are going to provide different percentages for those trades. But regardless of the fact, beautiful large moves to the downside, and you can see large amounts of selling pressure being inputted within the market each time price actually tapped into that supply zone. So that's going to be that nice little trade breakdown. And of course, this supply zone was alerted yesterday and it was covered this morning in pre-market review per usual. You guys know we're always going over the key zones and key levels that we have on the charts. So this was, of course, literally alerted and placed on our charts before the market even opened today. So, it was very beautiful. Analysis was done perfectly. And that's going to be that. I hope you guys enjoyed the trade recap, found some value from it. Go and continue being snipers on the charts. And I'll see you guys in the next masterclass lesson, recap, whatever it may be. Much love, fam.